Okay.
After all this, watch it. There's like some major technical error. Yay. Okay, I think we're live.
Yay.
Yay.
So, Libby, can you see like if people post questions? Can people post questions?
Um,
I don't even know.
Live chat, open panel. Yes. Oh, here we
Cool.
go. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Um, I'll try to
And I'm gonna
I'll try
happen
to
to
keep an eye
pick
on it.
Facebook where I posted and just say we're live now because I
Cool.
said 3:30.
I could put it on our main Facebook page too.
Is that the Pod to the Rescue listeners?
I was thinking like the Summit Dog Rescue one.
Oh yeah, do that. It said admin approved my post, but now I don't see my post.
Hmm. I don't see us actually live. Are we live on Facebook?
No, it's YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube. Well, there you have it.
All right. I don't know if I can tell from this screen who's here.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Um,
Oh, and I have to record.
oh yes.
Okay. Daisy's like right under my chair, so I cannot shift or roll my chair around like at all right now. All right. For anyone tuning in, this we are live from Pod to the Rescue, and we had a little group chat going, and we were all kind of talking about what we're doing to get ready for the 4th, and we thought, you know what, let's just go live for the and record a quick podcast about July 4th, thunderstorms, noise phobias, and what you can do to keep your dog and your cats safe and comfortable this weekend. So if you're in the US with all of the wonderful, wonderful explosions we have going off every like 5 seconds here.
It's already started in my neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, are you guys ready to jump in?
Yeah.
Do you need a minute, Jenny?
I'm just trying to like text all the people that I told
Oh.
3:30. Sorry if anyone's watching this live. I
No, no,
got
I
confused
think
about the time.
that we set this up so last minute. I don't think we'll get a ton of live viewers, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm here.
Oh, well, I can start just saying that my own personal dog is extremely noise phobic. She really struggles with thunder and fireworks, and we live in a really high density area with tons of fireworks. So this is a struggle every year. I joke to people, what's my most, disliked day of the year? And it's unfortunately now 4th of July because of the
Mhm.
struggle. So this is a great topic, near and dear to my heart, and I actually hope that I get some good ideas from this discussion.
Yeah, Daisy is luckily not terribly noise phobic. She notices like the really big booms. But my first dog, Moose, was absolutely terrified of thunderstorms, fireworks, you name it. And it was a huge struggle for, I mean, the entire, yeah. So knowing that, I have been really careful and proactive with all the dogs that I've fostered and now Daisy that I've adopted, of just making sure that around the 4th of July, I am keeping them as comfortable as possible. We're staying safe, and I'm using all of the management strategies that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and I have two dogs now, and my older dog is terribly afraid of thunderstorms and fireworks. And my young dog so far is just worried about why she's so upset, but he doesn't seem to have the same fear.
That's great. And Libby, you talked about keeping dogs safe, and this topic's also important to us because we did have a tragedy in the rescue about
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago.
Yep, it was just about 10 years ago. I remember I was newly volunteering, and so we had this little less than a year old Catahoula mix, right?
She was so
Puppy,
beautiful.
Callie. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, beautiful dog. I worked with her a little bit, just like, taking her out for walks and stuff when her foster was busy. But on July 3rd or July 4th,
I think it was the 4th.
the 4th, she was out on a walk, just in the afternoon, but someone in her neighborhood set off a big firework. There was a big boom. She got spooked. She backed out of her harness, ran away. And unfortunately, she was found, she'd been hit by a car. So not only that tragedy is like still very fresh for us, but we see shelters in the United States have a huge spike on intakes around, July 3rd through the 5th. Statistics range from like a 30 to 60% increase in intake. So it's keeping your pet safe and
Yeah.
safe first of all and comfortable is really important around this weekend.
So take those extra measures. You wouldn't think a dog would die due to a holiday.
Yeah, and as we'll talk about a little bit later, like sometimes you don't know if your dog is going to get spooked and you don't know when that big firework boom is coming because, it's a holiday and people are setting off fireworks all day, all weekend. So these precautionary steps are pretty important. We're really lucky because Jenny is doing her master's degree on sound noise sensitivity in animals, right?
Yeah, so my research is about specifically fireworks and thunderstorms and looking at how dogs, react to those scary noise events and a lot of different aspects, but I won't get into all that now. But I have been doing a lot of reading about noise sensitivity and noise phobia in dogs, and it's pretty fascinating.
So, can you explain a little bit? Can you explain why fireworks and thunderstorms are just so terrifying for our pets?
Yeah, so unpredictability might be a factor. So it's normal for an animal to respond to a loud noise. That's like a normal response for any animal. But it's not normal for an animal to, be repeatedly very, very fearful of a noise. So the unpredictability of fireworks and thunderstorms may contribute to the fear because if there's no warning, then it's going to be scarier. Just be like, I was going to mention a research study, but then I thought it might just be better to give something that people can relate to. So, like if you're going to the dentist and the dentist is going to do something painful, but he says, let me know when you're ready, or he says, I'm going to count to 3 and then I'm going to do the thing, then you might not be as startled or as scared when he actually does it.
I have a
And so,
funny story about that. I had to go to the dermatologist a couple weeks ago, and there was a spot on my face she was concerned about. And so she was taking that off. She was going to numb me first, and she explained the process. But then she walked up and without narrating what she was doing, she just like started coming in with something. And I thought it was the needle. And I was just like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. It was actually like the marker that she was going to mark. But like to your point of like having a little advance notice so you can
yeah.
prepare for those things is that's important. And for us, for humans, like we can see the storm clouds rolling in and kind of assume what's happening and we understand what's happening.
Yeah, and some dogs with thunderstorms in particular, like my own dog, she'll start panting before there's any thunder. She knows now that
Mm,
the clouds and that she probably senses the pressure changes, that predicts potentially scary noises.
Yep, my Newfoundland was like that. She knew an hour before a storm came, she would pick herself up and go into the bathroom.
wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we've talked about a couple of signs that we see that indicate that our dogs are going to be
Well,
afraid. What
I
did
think
you
I
want to say?
interrupted you. You were about to say something about like there a research study about the exposure
Oh,
to the aversive stimulus.
yeah. So it's just they've done research and they, have taught animals that in this environment, you might be exposed to something painful without any warning. In this environment, you might be exposed to something painful, but you'll get a warning. And given the choice, the animals will choose the environment where they're warned before they have the painful stimulus. So,
Wow.
and any of us, who've done like cooperative care with our dogs, you can see the change in their behavior and demeanor when they can give you a signal before. It doesn't even have to be something painful, but like before you trim a nail or before you look in their ears, just like you at the dermatologist, like
Hmm.
come in, please tell me when you're ready for me to mark your face, or I'm going to
Right.
mark your face now. Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's just, it adds an element of predictability, and then that makes it less stressful and less scary.
Mm.
It's pretty normal, but we don't think of it for our dogs all the time.
So what are some signs that we should look for that our dogs are uncomfortable, whether it's, the storm clouds are rolling in and they go to the bathroom or, I mean, to a different room or what are some things we should be looking for? And I'm kind of curious of how both of your dogs respond.
Yeah, do you want to go first, Emily?
Oh, I mean, Piper, my dog, she gets so stressed. As soon as she hears the firework, she just bark, 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 bark. Like for her, because she's a livestock guardian, I feel like that's just her stress response is to go to barking. And she'll start kind of leaping, jumping if she can. And then the stress panting. So last night we tried to time our walk, hoping that it would not happen, but we were out and there were three different fireworks on our very short walk, just so that she could have a quick walk. And she did okay. I mean, she did have the barking but then when we got back, there was one huge one when we were coming in the door, and that was so that there's definitely with her trigger stacking. And that was the end for her. Like she just was so upset. And then it took a while to get her down. So we did some training games. We did snuffle mat. She likes to do her PT exercises. So I tried to like change the focus and I also put on music. Um, and also use some medication. I have a very fast acting medication that my veterinarian prescribed because it's so unpredictable. We used to have one that was like a 2 hour onset, but by the time the 2 hours onset, there would be no more fireworks. So it didn't really help us.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually been working with my dog to teach her to take an oral injection so we can try, I think, the medication that you're talking about, because the medication she takes now takes about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And without medicine, she will bark and hurl herself at the windows. If
Mm.
she's outside, she will run towards the noise. She once ran 3 miles chasing a thunderstorm. We knew because we have a GPS collar on her, so we knew exactly where she was, thank goodness. And she came home, but it was really, really scary. So a lot of dogs will bark and try to escape. They'll hide, they might have an accident in the house, drooling, vomiting, even, and diarrhea. Not to be gross, but those can all be signs of severe fear and stress. Some things that people might look for that they might not be as aware of are just like quietly hiding somewhere. And there's a difference between what's referred to as a bolt hole and a safe space. So a bolt hole is, like hiding in the closet because they're terrified and they can't get away from the noise and they're, trembling and shaking. A safe space, if they're trained that their crate is a safe space, they might go calmly and lie down in their crate. That's a less like fearful response. Seeking attention from owners, and on this topic, it's okay to comfort your dog. If they're afraid and seeking comfort, you're not going to make them more afraid. There's been some misinformation about that. And you might teach them that it's a good thing to come to you when they're afraid, which what's wrong with that? But you're not going to make them more afraid. Aggressive behavior can be a sign of stress that people might not really understand. So if you're, all of a sudden your dog is acting aggressive towards other animals in the house or towards people, it might be because they're really afraid. And if your dog does go and hide, it's not necessarily the best thing to try to encourage them to come out. Like take that as information, talk to your vet or a vet behaviorist or a trainer about ways to help them. But in the moment, you might not want to like try to pull them out of their hiding spot because if they feel threatened, that could cause an aggressive response. Being easily startled even after the event, like a day or two after, especially if there's multiple days of fireworks or thunderstorms. And freezing can be a sign of fear and stress also. So if they're just not moving and not being responsive. There's a scale, it's called the Lincoln Sound Sensitivity Scale. That's a little survey you can take that allows you to score your dog's sound sensitivity. And depending on the score, it's an indicator of whether your dog is likely to benefit from professional help. But if your dog scores low and you have noticed signs of fear anyway, it's still a good idea to seek help.
Yeah, and
Helped a lot.
in my experience, real quick, I'll come back to that. Lori in the live chat said her dog can smell a thunderstorm coming before. And
That
I
makes
hadn't thought
sense.
about that, but that totally makes sense. And that without medication, her dog stands in the room and shakes, pants, and drools, right? And that's my first dog, Moose, he would just tremble, full body tremble. He would try to escape, curl up in a ball, but he was, yeah, it was pretty sad. Um, okay. Oh, where was I? I don't know.
I think I was saying it was so sad.
Yes.
It just makes me so sad to think that dogs have to go through this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
cats
And
can
Mhm.
experience this too, and we
Yeah.
don't tend to notice as much
yeah.
because I think the most common response for a cat is to hide when they're
Yeah.
afraid.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say is that in my experience with moose, it can get worse over time. So if you do notice some of those less major body language signs, take note of that and, talk to a trainer or a vet behaviorist.
I feel like Piper's is getting worse, as we know now. She's 6.5. She had one ACL redone last year, and the other one is partially torn, and we're going with conservative management right now. So we know she's got arthritis and pain. She's on pain meds, but even my vet was like, make sure she gets her pain meds all through this fireworks season, and hopefully that will help reduce her response. But
Mhm.
it does seem like it gets worse with pain. Has that been your understanding, Jenny?
Yeah, it definitely can get worse with pain. It can get worse with age. So many dogs around the age of 6, they'll start to show signs of fear that they hadn't shown before. And then it usually drops off after the age of 10, possibly because hearing starts to decline.
Mm.
So
I
it
was
can
looking
vary
at
with
buying
age.
those earmuffs by dog. I can't remember what they're called. Rex Specs makes some earmuffs. And
Hmm.
do you have any experience with those, either of you?
Mhm.
it's not the Rex Specs earmuffs, but I have some earmuffs for Kai. I haven't tried them during thunderstorms actually, but we would put them on her when we'd ride our snowmobile with her. And there's also they make this thing called I think it's a happy hoodie that's like a hood that goes over the dog's head. If you use any of these devices, make sure you teach your dog apart from the thunderstorms or fireworks, in a different environment, like teach them to wear the item comfortably. Same thing with like thunder vests and items like that can be helpful, but you want to make sure your dog is comfortable wearing them before, because if they're afraid of whatever you're trying to put on them, then that's just going to make it worse.
Yeah. You don't want that to be your emergency strategy. You want to have taught that in advance. So let's talk about some of the management strategies that you all use and that we use um, to keep our dogs, first of all, safe, and then comfortable. So I would say number one, make sure your dog has a collar with tags on it, because if they do bolt and escape, like that ability for whoever finds them to get them back to you that's key in being reunited with your dog. This weekend, I mean, Daisy's usually without her collar inside the house, but we're just keeping it on, just to be extra safe. Um, so ID tags, make sure your microchip is up to date. And then Jenny, you mentioned the GPS collar.
Yeah, and even like an Apple AirTag, if you live in a really populated area, that can be helpful. And then if your dog runs off, you can activate the lost thing so other people can identify the tag.
I've been
Yeah.
using two leashes with Piper, just because
Oh,
it's so unpredictable in my neighborhood. And I'm recovering from surgery. And when she does hear a loud explosion, she can just like, it's so terrifying and tense for her that her whole body will like move through the air potentially. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I accidentally drop that leash or if it pulled out of my hand, that would be terrible. So I've been wearing now a waist leash that clips to the back of her harness. And then I have another one that I carry in my hand that clips to the front of her harness. And that way she's taking me with her if she starts running.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm not losing her.
Yeah.
yeah.
Other things that we recommend to adopters and fosters in the rescue is baby gates or X pens around the front door so that you're opening it to get your package from FedEx and a firework goes off. Like there's just an extra layer of safety around to prevent bolting out the front door.
Excellent
Um,
idea.
yeah. What else? Um,
So we mentioned some of the calming things. Oh, did we mention go camping? Like get out
no,
of
we didn't talk
town.
about that. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
Go camping, get out of town if you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. And
Um,
that kind of depends on your region. Like here in Colorado, when you go to the mountains, like fireworks are banned everywhere. So there you can find quiet spots in the mountains. But if I was in Missouri, going camping would be the absolute Missouri is where I'm from. So I can pick on Missouri. But like it would going camping would be the absolute worst thing we could do. So that
yeah,
kind of just depends on where you are.
that's a good point. Um, yeah, we actually we're really fortunate where we live now. We won't hear fireworks
Mm.
most likely. But if we were still living in town, one thing I would try is driving around in the car, even with my dog, being careful that she or he couldn't get out of the car. But sometimes if a dog is happy riding around in the car engine and radio noise might muffle the sounds. So you could just
Mm.
go for a drive with your dog during the worst of it at least and
Yeah,
help them calm down.
that's a
Here,
good
what
idea.
has been my greatest success, because I have to say, it like a scale of 1 to 10, my neighborhood is a 12. Like it's beyond terrible. A few years ago, we went to the mountains to try to get away from it, and we came home at midnight. And getting Piper from the car into the house was unbelievable. We must have heard 70 explosions literally in the 30 steps. Like it was just boom, 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 boom. Like everybody, it was horrible. Anyway, so what I think I'm going to do this year is start my music protocol. I've already been playing music randomly, like that whole concept of like if there's a
Mhm.
firework and then I turn on the music could create stress because it would be linking those two events together. So we've been playing music in the morning, playing music like during the day, just so it's part of our world to have extremely, like not extremely loud, but loud music so
Mhm.
that kind of blocks out the rest of the noises of our neighborhood. And then I think probably tomorrow night for sure, I'm going to have the music on and then also the TV because what I have found through horror stories in my life has been that when there's two song like you've got your song ends and then there's another song, there's so many fireworks in my
Oh,
neighborhood that there's, it's just too much. So every
Yeah.
5 minutes your dog is having a horrible experience. So you have to have two sources of music on.
Oh gosh.
I have all my windows closed so I either have two sources of music or the TV really loud and the
Mhm.
music so that it just becomes almost like a cocoon of noise. And oddly, I've done it now with two noise phobic dogs in a row. That seems to do it. If I make it through this 4th of July like that, then I know it's a strategy and I should trademark it. And um, yeah, because it's going to be a tough 4th of July here. I can just tell.
Yeah. So at our house, we don't have central AC, which is pretty common in Colorado, actually, especially for older houses. So this time of year anyway, we have fans going all the time. And like we have, like a little window AC unit in our bedroom. And that's actually pretty loud. And so if we have our windows closed and the fans going, it's pretty quiet inside. And we're lucky that we kind of live in a semi-rural neighborhood, and so people are pretty careful about fireworks here, but they still use them, And then, of course, on the night of July 4th, there's always the big community fireworks that we can still hear and see. But the fans, the white noise, that really, really helps. So other things we talked about, the thunder jacket, the hoodie, the earmuffs. Um, background noise, and then the DAP products. Did you want to talk about those?
sure. Yeah, it's dog appeasing pheromone products, and they mimic the pheromones of a nursing mother. And they're not effective for all dogs, but it seems like the dogs they help, it really, really helps them. And they come in different varieties of applications. So you can get a wall diffuser or a spray or a collar. The collar takes a little while to become effective, but once it's on, you leave it on for 30 days and it's effective for the whole time. So those can be helpful. There's also playlists on Spotify and like Apple Music for dog calming music. And I find those to be really helpful. They get a little boring to me, but
Yeah. And
but if it
Baby
helps my
Mozart,
dogs.
I've played a lot of Baby Mozart in
Oh
the
yeah, I bet
past.
that's good too.
YouTube has a Baby Mozart like 12-hour
Nice.
playlist.
Yeah,
We just play like whatever music we listen to normally because it's pretty routine for us to like, 6 o'clock. Okay, we're gonna go in the kitchen, we're gonna make dinner, we put some music on, we got the fan on, and so, it's usually like Taylor Swift or something like that. But
I
that
love
seems to
that.
work okay in our house.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
whatever works for your dog, like that's really what it's about is um yeah, and some of those playlists have like a certain frequency that can kind of compete with the frequency of the fireworks, and I think that's one of the reasons they work, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We've had a lot
Um,
of Bob Marley going and a lot of
nice.
Spearhead. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Other things that we're doing to prep right now, management wise, like any frozen Kongs and topples, I'm stuffing those with wet food. For Moose, my first dog, we found that once the fireworks or the thunder started, then if we could get him in the bathroom, that was his safe place with something to lick or chew on, then that helped. And, he was heavily medicated as well, but like that kept him calm enough so that he wasn't just absolutely terrified. So having um the Kong or the topple. And Jenny, you mentioned the order of operations there. You want to reiterate that?
Yeah, just, and Emily mentioned earlier, it's tougher. Okay, so you want to present the food item after the scary thing has started. So then the scary thing, the scary noise, fireworks predict delicious food items instead of food items predicting scary things. And it's also a good kind of a measure for you to see, will your dog eat? Because if they're really, really scared, they're not going to eat. So it's good that Moose, the fireworks would start, you give Moose something to eat. With thunderstorms, since they're not so usually so constant, I actually sometimes try to time a lickable item, like the other day I had a lick and learn with some peanut butter smeared on it. And there would be a boom, and I would give my dog the thing to lick. And then I'd let her lick it a little bit, and then we'd pause. And then a boom, and then give the thing to lick. With fireworks, it's a little bit harder. So, because what you don't want, if you're trying to time something with fireworks, you can see where it could get confusing what's predicting what. So it's probably best to just, if it's a long period of fireworks, just give them something that's long lasting. And licking and chewing are soothing activities for mammals. So as they're licking, it's helping further calm them down, or chewing.
Right. The lick and learn is like a spatula, basically, that has it's almost like a licky mat on a spatula, right?
Yeah, it looks like a lollipop, kind of like a big.
Okay.
I wish I had brought one up here with me,
Oh, right.
but
Because
they're
yeah,
about this big, and it's got a plastic handle on it. And
very
yeah, they're
cool.
great.
I have to get one of those. So,
Speaking of,
oh, what were you going to say?
go ahead. Oh, well, we haven't talked about boom cheese.
Right.
What's a
Well,
boom chew?
Boom
boom
cheese.
cheese. Do you want to
Um,
just give the
Okay, real
lowdown?
quick, and then hold on to your thought because we'll come back to it. So boom cheese, we've talked about this on the podcast before, but this is from a local trainer, Gigi Moss, who just after a fireworks explosion or a big thunderbolt or thunder rumble, whatever, just calmly says boom cheese and then walks to the fridge and gets out a little bit of shredded cheese and sprinkles it on the ground for her dog. And it's just like a special treat that only happens. It's like super high value with the scary noise.
Oh, I love that.
I love
Yeah.
that.
So I
Yeah.
prep a little container of like chicken and shredded cheese and like some beef liver nuggets or whatever in there. And if there's like a really big explosion that Daisy notices and she alerts to, then we'll do boom cheese.
I love that. I
Yeah,
might have to
that's
add that to my
fantastic.
fridge for the next three
Yeah.
nights.
Yeah.
And
One thing,
again, sorry, if
oh,
if anyone is wondering whether or not they'll be reinforcing the fear by doing that, you will not. So you're not rewarding your dog for being scared or making them more scared by giving them delicious things when when this is happening. Okay.
I was just going to say, we talk a lot in this podcast about training and pattern games. Um, we're going to have Leslie McDevitt on later in the season. And last night, after the first firework, Piper was still like bordering on like not totally freaked out. So I tried working with her, doing find its and 1, 2, 3. And I had really good high value food. I did extra high value yesterday because I knew it could be a hard walk. And she managed to do 1, 2, 3 all the way home. And there were two more explosions. Now I could tell she was super stressed, like her respiration was up and she was a little more grabby with the food. But I could tell she super appreciated being in that pattern with me,
Yeah.
even though I could tell she was struggling, like, but I was like, this is amazing. And it really helped because it took the focus away from like, I am a dog that's freaking out because I have all this trauma around sound, which she does. I know for sure that she had this horrific beginning around sound in her previous home. And she could kind of bring it back together. And we did the 1, 2, 3 all the way home. And I was like, this is why we train our dogs all
Yeah.
year long. Because when you need it, it's amazing.
Mhm.
I love that. Yeah, and I kind of think that it must be similar to when someone's having a panic attack and, it's like, what's one thing that you see and what's one thing that you hear and what's one thing that you smell? Like it kind of grounds them. And we can ask those questions to a dog, but I feel like, giving them a predictable game to play must have a similar effect. Like, here, let me help you reground yourself
Yeah.
with this game.
And the helping, like I felt all of a sudden, which I can't believe it took me all these years to try this, but I felt like all of a sudden she was like, "Oh, we're out here together and you're not
Mm.
panicking and you're supporting
Mm,
me." I felt like I
uh,
supported her all the way home as opposed to being like, sometimes I'll start to unravel. Seeing my dog suffer really is incredibly difficult for me.
mhm.
So instead of me reacting with her to how unfair this is, that people are importing things from China to explode and torture all of us. Sorry. Side note. I was like, how can I support my dog? And the one,
Mhm.
two, three game was brilliant. So, in case you don't know, the one, two, three game, we could link to it. It's one of the pattern games by Leslie Devitt, and it's just super easy. You just say
Yeah,
one, two, three, and the food comes down on three.
we can upload a video
We
to
Yeah,
the
could.
YouTube channel.
we'll totally
Yeah.
do that. So a lot of our listeners are obviously fostering animals or they've newly adopted a dog. This could be their first summer with their dog, and they may not know whether their dog is noise phobic, and this is going to be a time to find out this weekend. So, Jenny, what do you recommend people do if they don't know how their dog is going to react to noises and they maybe haven't prepared any of these management strategies?
Yeah, so I would assume that the dog is noise sensitive. So somewhere between 30 and 80% of dogs have some kind of noise sensitivity. So you roughly have probably a 50-50 chance. And erring on the side of caution is never going to hurt. So you can do some of the strategies that we've talked about. If you have time, you can talk to your vet about possibly some kind of medication that would help keep them calm. And then if you're going to try any kind of medication, you should try it. So it might be too late, but might not be. You should try it before you actually need it. So when you can observe how your dog is going to react, make sure it has the effect that you want. If you don't know how your dog is going to react, try to not leave them alone. You can, if you can't be with them, try to have someone you trust stay with them or bring them to a friend or relative's house that you trust. Or if it's impossible to have somebody with them, I recommend like setting up a camera so you can observe how they're reacting. And hopefully, if they do panic, you can return home. But there are a lot of inexpensive cameras on the market, or if you have a security camera, you can use that. If you don't have a camera that you can watch live, you can set up a Zoom call with your phone or a Zoom call or some other live thing. So you could set up like your iPad or computer, have that on in the house so you can check on your dog with your phone and see how they're doing. Yeah, and then try some of the strategies, even if you are going to be home, do some of the strategies that we've discussed. So close your windows, put on white noise, have something for your dog to chew on or lick or both. Try to play with your dog if they're interested in playing, or just sit calmly with them and see how they react.
Yeah,
We
and
didn't
it's, oh, go
we
ahead.
didn't mention chews, and I just want to say I like the no hides and I like bully sticks and some of the tendons. Do you guys have
Mhm.
anything else that you have your dogs chew that you like?
The yak chews, like it's like yak cheese, like really tough yak cheese, but
Hmm.
it's our vet, they're vet approved. They don't break teeth. Daisy really likes those.
Yeah, I think all those things my dog, oh, also like beef cheeks.
Oh, yep.
They all make me so sad, but they
Yeah.
help our dogs. Oh, can I
Emily, do you
mention?
remember the time that
Oh, I
when
do
I was
remember.
fostering Daisy and she
Yes.
ate it like a half of a beef cheek roll at once and had
She
to,
did. Yeah.
oh my God, the poor girl. I hate laughing because she was in pain, but she had such a bad stomach ache. She had to go to the vet and get like 3 enemas.
Oh
So
my
sorry,
gosh.
Daisy.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
poor
don't
Daisy.
over
Yeah,
chew them. Yeah.
watch your dog while you're giving them
Another.
these
We
treats is the
have like a
moral of
horror
the
story
story.
about everything at this
We do.
point. We
In
do.
this rescue.
Yeah.
Okay.
What were you going to say, Jenny? Sorry, we interrupted
I was
you.
gonna say, most dogs who are afraid of one type of noise are afraid of other noises. So
Hmm.
if a dog is afraid of thunderstorms and you know this, it's highly likely that they're also going to be afraid of fireworks and vice versa. And there's also a strong correlation between separation anxiety and noise phobia, and sometimes they're even confused. So sometimes people think their dog has separation anxiety, and really their dog is just reacting to noises that are scaring them when they're home alone. So if your dog has separation anxiety, you might be extra attentive to how your dog responds to loud noises.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, there's a dog I'm working with right now who is very sensitive to construction noises and his a lot of the houses in the neighborhood are being renovated or rebuilt and yeah, so definitely see that. So
Yeah.
what do you recommend like after all of this is over if none of this has helped or if our dogs are still struggling like time to see a vet behaviorist, how can we train around this or work around this?
Yeah, vet behaviorist, trainer, all the above. Because
Hmm.
there are things you can do to teach your dog to be less fearful and help them get through these hard times. And sometimes you might also want to use medication, while they're learning.
Hmm. Yeah, and I just want to reiterate, I think we mentioned it earlier, but pain does have a correlation with noise phobias. And if your dog is in pain, this might be the way they're telling you. So,
Yep.
And in case you don't live near a a vet behaviorist, some of them do virtual consults. There's a veterinarian now in Ohio who's a board certified veterinary behaviorist who only does virtual consults with your vet. So if you don't live someplace where you can drive an hour or two to a veterinary behaviorist, you should look up a virtual consultation. That could be a possibility.
Yeah, and vet to vet consults are usually easier to get scheduled and a little bit less expensive. So if you don't, if you're in a situation where your vet just maybe needs a little bit of help figuring out how to best help your dog, then they can consult with the vet behaviorist.
Yeah, if this holiday doesn't go great for us, then I think I'm gonna start with a veterinary behaviorist to prepare for next year.
and while
Yeah,
we're on the topic, this is I hesitate to say this because it's kind of out of our scope, but I do just want to warn people that if your normal vet isn't super savvy about behavior meds, there is one medication that you really want to avoid because it,
I was
it
thinking of this last
Oh
night.
yeah.
yeah, Jenny, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, the name of it is
Ace
escaping me right
It's
promazine.
now.
it's ace.
Acepromazine.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
so acepromazine, we are not giving medical advice here. We are simply stating a
A
well-known
fact.
fact in the training and behavior field that acepromazine is a medication that prevents your dog from moving. It basically paralyzes movement, but it does nothing for their emotional state. So imagine if you were having a panic attack and someone gave you a pill that you couldn't move. It's even harder for you to hide or try to get away from whatever's scaring you. All the same thoughts are in your head and you can't move. So if
And
anyone
outwardly you
recommends
appear
that,
calm, but inwardly
yes,
you're
You're
still
you're
nothing has
freaking out.
terrified.
changed. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so if anyone recommends that to you,
Find a different vet or
ask
give
for a
your,
second
yeah,
opinion
ask for a second
Yeah.
or a
opinion.
third.
Yeah. All right. Anything else before we wrap up that we want to add about noise, sensitivities, fireworks? This is a topic we could totally go way in depth
Yeah.
in a full episode, but we just wanted to real quick give our listeners some tips on preparing for this holiday weekend in the US and the rest of the summer with thunderstorms. Anything
Yeah.
else?
I just wonder if there's a way people can contact me if they want to participate in my research.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, I bet we could. How do you want people to get in touch? Your website or
I'm trying to think if there's, yeah, just email me at Jenny at elevateddogtraining.com, or you can send me a message on Facebook. I'll be posting a link to a survey that I have coming out soon. And I'm probably also going to be looking for people to get video of their dogs to analyze. So if you're interested in participating, please reach out to me so I'll make sure that you get a link to the survey when it's available.
right on. We will link to your training website in the show notes.
Thanks.
And hopefully someday this podcast will be obsolete because we'll all go to those sound free, beautiful
Laser
drone
shows and
laser shows. Yeah.
yeah.
Because
Yep.
we love celebrating. My father is a veteran. Like, we're totally pro
I'm
the
a
holiday.
veteran.
Just, oh
Yeah,
gosh,
Jenny's a
you're a
veteran, of
veteran.
course,
Yeah,
yeah.
Jenny's a veteran. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, my brother-in-law's in the Air Force.
Yeah. Like, we're not anti celebrating. We're anti
Yeah.
the the fallout to all these animals and beings and wildlife and
We're,
veterans and
we're pro protecting our dogs and cats.
yes.
There we go.
Like that. Okay.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, have a
Well,
great Fourth, everyone.
yes.
Yeah.
Stay safe, keep your dog safe, and thank you all for tuning in.
Thanks.
All
Bye.
right.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Oh my gosh, I have to tell you guys one
Wait,
quick story.
We're still live.
Okay.
Let me stop this.
Okay, good. Because
I actually don't know how to end the live stream.
oh no.
Are people still watching?
Yeah, we still have 4 people watching.
Do they have any
So
questions?
you all are getting oh yeah, so Emily, I know you have to go, but
I have to go.
Jenny and I
I'll
can
tell you
answer
all my
questions.
story, but you guys answer questions. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Bye,
Bye.
Emily.
I'm gonna take a sip of
Bye.
water.
Yeah, so if anyone in the live stream is watching still and you have questions, pop them in the chat and we will try to answer them the best we can.
And I don't know
Great
how to
call,
look at the
Jenny.
chat, so
Um,
I mean, I don't need to see it. I'm just telling you,
Okay.
like, I can't see it.
okay, cool. If we get questions, I will read them out. Yeah, once we finally figured out what was going on with Moose, and we got the medication on board, then he was able to, go in the bathroom with a fan on and chew his bone. But before that, it was awful. So the medication was huge, in helping him be more comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, medication. People are so, not everybody, but some people are so hesitant to medicate their dogs, but it's really a kindness in many cases.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I mean, I don't think either one of our dogs, when I give my dog medication, it's not like she's passed out on the couch,
No,
like non-responsive. She's able to interact with me and eat and sometimes even play instead of hurling herself at the window,
Yeah,
trying to
right.
get out.
Rather than cowering and shaking for hours on end, which is that's not healthy.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know that we're going to get any questions, which is fine.
Okay.
But if you're watching this after the fact and you still have questions, just put them as a comment or get in touch with us on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll do our best to answer.
Yeah. Thanks,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thanks,
So I guess we
everyone.
just have to hang up.
I think I just have to end the meeting to stop the live.
Oh, wait,
we'll
let me
find
check.
out.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.